And good morning and welcome to Touch Base Daily. My name is Ron Foster and I'm here with the wonderful team and we are hanging out here together. I got myself repeating over there. And we got Gwendolyn and Chris on board on a Wednesday.
Good morning. I know it's not the usual day.
And a lot to talk about. We got some great victories yesterday for the country. And did you guys see? I just got to come out the box saying, obviously, I went live because it was
Yes,
a
I saw that.
historical moment, and I had to preserve it. I had to say, what's the best way to preserve this moment that I will have it on some platform? I can put it in a video, and said, I know I can just go live. And some of you guys showed up, and we had a great time watching the wonderful senator from New Jersey, Cory Booker, cross that line from just when he hit that line of 24 hours and 19 minutes. He made it across the line as the longest speech on the Senate floor.
Yeah.
And it was just wonderful to watch. And then he made it even 4 minutes.
4. Yep. What I loved about that moment was that other Democrats were there to witness it.
Yes.
What he did was, it wasn't a performance. He basically gave them a blueprint of what they need to do moving forward. And it's very significant what he did. He didn't just talk for those 25 hours and 4 minutes. He stole the spotlight from Trump and all the Republicans and really put a focus on what the Democrats in this country need to do to take back this country. And it was so poignant. I was tuning in, throughout the whole experience of those 25 hours. I couldn't sleep. What was it, Monday night? So I was watching a little bit here and there. And what I love is that independent media and even people like us, Don Lemon, are going live and allowing people to see this. Mm-hmm. Even Cory Booker live streamed this himself. And what I love is we found out that this was something that was planned. This wasn't just some random thing that, all right, I'm going to be spontaneous. I'm going to do this. This was planned. Him and his team knew what they were doing. He fasted. He even started to cut back on his water intake prior to doing this so that he could be prepared for this. He didn't know how long he was going to do it. It was never the intent to really to break the Thurman. What was it?
Strowman Thurman. Yes.
You're right. It wasn't planned to break that record. But he said, I'm going to be here as long as I physically am able. And that's exactly what he did. So kudos and praise to Cory Booker. I think that he is showing America who he is and what lengths and depths he's willing to go to stand up for what we believe in this country.
I agree so much. And Strom Thurmond, as someone said last night or this morning, it was last night, he said, Strom Thurmond is probably turning over in his grave that this black man from New Jersey outdid him. And what was really good is like one of the commentators said, black reporters, he said, Strom Thurmond he stood up for racism. Yeah. I mean, that's something. Think about it, that's way back then, before there was a Pampers, before there was anything to help you get through that kind of trauma on the body, to be speaking for 24 hours. And they were saying that when they were painting the picture, I said, now that's some kind of hate. When you are that hateful that black people are not your equal and that you don't want civil rights, and to stand on the floor and filibuster for 24 hours and 18 minutes, well, then to have it replaced by someone, one, black, two, was fighting for the liberty of all, the love of all, the connection of all, being an American, being just, being equal, being diverse. And it was just totally like, a slap in Strowman's,
Yeah.
face.
It was hard.
Gwendolyn.
I watched with Aisla for about an hour, and it was cool to see the numbers get higher and higher as he got closer to the finish line. I think we tuned in because we kind of, like Chris, tuned in and out. And I want to say at one point it was like 60, then I came back, it was like 90, and I looked, it's like, is that 120 something thousand people? And that was on his YouTube channel. So, take that and then think about everybody else who was also watching on someone else's channel. But like the fact that his staff put all those binders together, which he
Yes.
did not get through all of them.
No, he could have gone more. He
I
could
was
have done
like,
more.
I was like, what? Yeah.
I thought he was gonna
It
go for
was
30.
it was cool to
That
watch, and it just shows that you can use your voice no matter where you are and talk about it. But I can't help but go back to, as he kept saying, this is not a right or left. This is about our morals. Like, who are we as a
Morals.
country if this is what we allow to go down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to ask the question.
I was choked up several times just hearing his words. Like when he talked about fear, and he's like, and he was talking about that is our, that makes us stronger. That's what give us our courage. And it was so many moments along the way. Because he literally taught and spoke every step along the way. It wasn't just he was up there talking about junk stuff. Like back when back in filibusters, even though this was not considered a technical filibuster, people can get up and talk about marbles. Like the Strowman got up and read from the dictionary, which it benefited no one.
it did nothing. Everything he said was meaningful, and I want to touch on that. I want to touch on that a little bit. There was a portion that I was watching live where he was talking about his father. And his father was dealing with Parkinson's. Now, I'm not one that comes on here and really talks about my family situation, though I think the first time I actually did it was last year when my grandmother had passed and one of the difficulties we were dealing with as she was transitioning. The conversation about the Parkinson's hits home because my father has Parkinson's.
That was too much. That was,
and he's had it for quite a long time, and he's one of the luckier ones that his is a milder form of it. It has progressed slightly over the years, but he's lived with it for a while, and when you talk about this country and the fact that what they're trying to take away, like Medicaid, Social Security, not having access to healthcare. If my father did not have the access that he has to healthcare, I don't know if he'd still be alive. So when he talked about things like that, it really hit me. Like I was sitting there like just getting a little emotional about it because I know what it means to us. It's personal. And I think everyone, it is somewhat personal because everyone is going through something. We live these lives on this screen. And, we talk about these things, but we're all dealing with things behind the scenes. Ron was very public about the fact that he just basically defeated cancer, having surgery, but without the access to healthcare, it could have been a totally different story.
Totally different story.
And we all will eventually go through. And the thing that gets me is like these people that are stealing these rights from us, and I'm not even talking about like Elon Musk and the orange troll, because they have money, they can afford to do that. But like a lot of these people that are in Congress that are voting against a lot of these things, they are dependent on those services. They get those services because we pay for them to have those services. And that's what they need to realize. This is why it's so important for us to go out and do our duty and vote these people out of office. They do not deserve to be there. They do not deserve to be paid by us. People like nasty ass Marjorie Taylor Greene, who does not believe she's a federal employee. Sweetheart, you work for us. Remember that.
Yeah. It's I'm going to show some clips, but I want to also say hello to everyone because we dove right in this morning. And I see in here, and hit the likes if you are in the building. Put the comments out if you want to. Hannah's the first person in the building. She gets the gold. Hannah says, "Good morning, Ron and Touch Base Daily family." Jeanette is in the building with silver. "Good morning, everyone," she says. And Dr. Tachi comes in with the bronze. She says, "Hey, y'all." And Dr. Tachi also says, "What a time last night." Janet says also, "Yay, Touch Base Daily commentators. Good morning." And Dr. Tachi says, "This is how we resist." And which is so true. Dr. Taji says also, exactly, Chris, you have to remove their spotlight in order to highlight the issues. This was brilliant in motion.
Yep.
Dr. Taji says, "Ron, thank you so much for coming on last night." Dr. Taji also says it was extremely well orchestrated.
Yep.
And she also gave us the name of Strom Thurman. And Bryson's in the building. He says, "What's up, Ron? What's up, Chris? What's up, Gwendolyn? What's up, RLP fam? What's up, CQ fam? It's a new month. It's a new week." And Dr. Taji says, "Well, let him turn into dust." Talking about
if he isn't already.
Grave. And he is always overturned, says Dr. Tachi. And she also says, "Good evening." Good morning, all. And also Hannah says, "Good morning." She's saying hello to folks. And Dr. Tachi says, "Last night was a time. Kudos to Senate Booker. Kudos." And Dr. Tachi says, "Well, Strom Thurman can continue to turn into dust. Hatred is always overturned."
Yes.
Dr. Tachi, you can scan that QR code and come on the board if you want to. Or do you want me to send you a QR code? Do you want me to send you a personal invitation? And I do love you. I do love the box. Hannah says, "Good morning." Hey, Hannah, his YouTube channel at its height at 1,114,000 viewers, and also he was filming it all mainly for his mother. They say he had put it all together so that they could have it set up for. They had a little thing set up for him so that his mother could watch. And because he and his mother are very close. Bryson says, "Just in front from now with Val Kilmer passed away. If y'all don't know, he played Batman. He did Tombstone. He also did Top Gun.
Yeah.
So prayers that go out to his family." Jazzy says, "Good morning." Yeah, he was only I couldn't believe we were
65.
65, only 4 years older than me.
Yep.
I was like, I did not realize how young he was. I could have played Batman. No, I'm just kidding. Kudos to his staff.
Black man, maybe.
Yeah, the black Batman. What's up, Hannah? What's up, Tachi? And see more love going on in the community.
She said, "Send her the link. Send her the link."
Okay, send her the link. Okay, there we go. We're gonna send Dr. Tachi a link so that way she can come on and join us on this wonderful Wednesday hump day.
Do you still have blue dust in your
Yeah.
Well, I was telling Ron this morning, I didn't touch the ceiling, and so as we are filming here, there is blue powder falling on the desk.
Okay.
So
but her work husband said,
it's falling on me too. So I'm trying to sit back so that it doesn't fall into my glasses.
So for those that don't know what we're talking about, yesterday Gwendolyn did her show and she had Dr. Tashi on, and they did a little celebration for Indie Soup Media with Turn 1. And Gwendolyn loves confetti. So she got her little popper out, and when she popped, it wasn't confetti.
It didn't come out no confetti.
It was the baby blue dust that you normally find at baby reveals. So let's just say that Gwendolyn had a little surprise.
I was like, "It's a boy."
It's a boy.
I was like, "This is not confetti." Okay, because so Party City was closing. I thought, let me go in, get a couple of good deals, stack up for the year and some. So we have our confetti cannons and whole 9 yards. And I said, well, these are different. Let me get a couple of these.
Oh, so you have more.
They, not.
She may have a
so
girl.
There is blue.
She might have a girl
over this place still,
outside.
And it's on the ceiling.
Outside when you pop those.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good laugh. You'll see a reel or a short from it very soon. Because, I mean, that's like, you can't make that stuff up.
No, you can't.
And
Live.
it was April Fool's of all the days. April Fool's.
Yes.
It was
It was
truly
like,
appropriate
jokes
for the
on you,
day.
kid. That's not confetti.
Can you guys hear the drilling?
No.
No.
Okay, good. So because they are drilling, it's down. I'm telling you, this is why it's time. But the drilling. My neighbor downstairs drills so much, hammers so much. My tiles keep coming off the wall. Everything is
doing?
happening. I don't know what they're doing, but they got some major drilling going on downstairs. They're tearing
Drill,
down a
baby,
wall.
drill.
They're tearing down a wall. I can hear it. Anyway, they probably sold the apartment. My apartment, the apartment below me has turned over already 4 times.
4 times?
Oh, wow.
4 times in the last 10 years.
What?
That's a lot.
Yes. And the reason why is because it's one of the best apartments in the building. It's 2 apartments into one. It's one of the only apartments it's only 4 apartments in this whole building that have what's called a balcony, like a whole terrace that you can walk out on and put a whole living room, like the same size as my area right here is the balcony area.
Gotcha.
Terrace. So people keep selling it for higher and higher dollar amounts. Every time someone buys it, then they buy it, they change it around, and then they sell it.
That bodes well for you.
So the apartment below me is well over $1 million. Well over, because it's 2 apartments. So it's almost near $2 million, the apartment downstairs. You're getting 2 for the price of 1.
Okay.
Anyways, so they're drilling this morning. So Dr. Tachi, we got her invitation out. What else you guys are saying on here? Let's go to the video clip. Let's go to the video clip. This is from, my girl, wonderful. She had the great opportunity to interview him last night.
Rachel.
Rachel Maddow.
Yes.
Okay, Rachel. Here we go. Rachel's going to speak.
United States Senator. The previous record was set by arch segregationist Strom Thurmond, who tried to filibuster the Civil Rights Act in 1957. That speech lasted 24 hours and 18 minutes, but it included things like him reading from the encyclopedia and him taking a bathroom break. Senator Cory Booker did nothing like either of those things. Tonight, Senator Booker blew past Thurmond's record. He spoke until 8:04 p.m. for a total of 25 hours and 4 minutes.
Would the senator yield for a question?
Chuck Schumer, it's the only time in my life I can tell you no.
I just want to tell you a question. Do you know you have just broken the record? Do you know how proud this caucus is of you? Do you know how proud America is of you?
That was the moment when he broke the record, but that was not the end. He then kept going. The whole time, Senator Booker was not allowed to sit down or use the bathroom. He did get help from his Democratic colleagues who took turns overnight and all through the day today, asking Senator Booker questions. That still did not mean Senator Booker could sit down, but it did mean that for the time they were asking their questions, he could stop talking. For the length of time it took them to pose a question to him, whereupon it was time for him to start talking again. At the start of his speech at 7 p.m. last night, Senator Booker referenced the late Congressman John Lewis, civil rights icon, a mentor to many Democratic lawmakers, including Senator Booker. Congressman John Lewis famously advised getting into what he called good trouble. Senator Booker began his stand by saying that's what he intended to do. He began by saying he would disrupt the normal business of the Senate for as long as he was physically able, because he sincerely believed the country was in crisis. Senator Booker started last night. He talked all night. He was still at it when we woke up today, delivering on his promise to disrupt the status quo any way he could.
It's enough for me 12 hours now I'm standing, and I'm still going strong because this president is wrong. And he's violating principles that we hold dear and principles in this document that are so clear and plain. The powers of the Article 1 branch are spelled out, and he is violating them. The Congress that is being too complicit to an executive that is overstepping his authority and violating the Constitution and hurting people who rely on health care and Social Security. When is it going to be enough? My voice is inadequate. My efforts today are inadequate to stop what they're trying to do. But we, the people, are powerful. We are strong. God bless America. We need you now. God bless America. If you love her, if you love your neighbor, if you love this country, show your love. Stop them from doing what they're trying to do for almost 20 hours. We have laid out what they're trying to do, 20 hours. I want to stand more, and I will, but I'm begging people, don't let this be another normal day in America. Please, God, don't let them take Medicaid away from 10, 20, 30, or 40 million Americans who desperately need it. Don't let them do it. This is our moral moment. This is when the most precious ideas of our country are being tested, where the Constitution, and the question is being called, where does the Constitution live? On paper or in our hearts? It is time to heed the words of the man I began this whole thing with, John Lewis. I beg folks to take his example of his early days, where he made himself determined to show his love for his country at a time the country didn't love him. To love this country so much, to be such a patriot that he endured beatings savagely on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, at lunch counters, on freedom rides. He said he had to do something. We need that now from all Americans. This is a moral moment. It's not left or right, it's right or wrong. Let's get in good trouble. My friend, Madam President, I yield the floor.
Joining us now for his first TV interview since his record-breaking speech in the Senate, Senator Cory Booker.
First, I just want to say I was at that point. I was choked up. Like I said, I am that nerd that believes in what America can be, that what America could achieve if it would just get out of its own way, if it will just get out of its racist past that they brought to the future, if they can just get rid of all of the junk, America could be an amazing place. I mean, all of us here gathered together. So anyway, let's go.
Well, here before we hit play, what I loved about also is he finished it exactly how he started with John Lewis's quote about getting in good trouble. That is also the sign of a good orator who can he did a complete full circle. Yeah.
Beautiful speak. And when he said, "I yield," I said it with him. I was like, I yield. It was just such a profound moment. And people don't understand. Some people won't understand the significance of this moment for years to come. And beautiful. It was well done. Before we go to his interview, let's see what everyone is saying. That way we won't have so many backed up comments. I see. Oh, and Dr. Tachi is in the room. Let's bring her on board. There she is. And let me just take this off the screen while we are together. Hey, Dr. Tachi.
Hey.
And then we'll continue on. How you doing after yesterday's historical day?
Listen, I've never seen anything like it. And I had such low expectations for this country before. I mean, not that I'm completely convinced now, but it showed that there are people that are willing to walk the walk.
Mm.
It showed for the first time since this whole debacle began. It not even just since this whole debacle. Let's take it back to the first time Tang was president, and nobody said anything. And people just kept relying on kindness and turning the cheek and lack of action. And oh, it will get better. And it never did, because he was only gearing up for a more vicious attack. This is the first time that, I mean, this man fasted and prayed to get to this level, to be able to, if this wasn't ordained, I don't know what is. So the fact that there are people that are speaking out now that are very anti what is happening, that are anti-coup, and that are willing to stay. This man stood for over 25 hours to make the point of we're not going back. That's very hopeful. So, and I watched all of yesterday. So even if I was doing something,
yes, she did. She got texting me. It's 22 hours. It's 20. She started at 20 hours, Ron. 22 hours.
I saw it at 7 o'clock yesterday morning, and I was like, wait, what? Because I had no clue what was going on. So I just kept it on from 7 o'clock in the morning all the way to when he ended. So I was watching for about 12 or so hours.
And the segments, I mean, and it was so orchestrated in a way because the other senators did not prepare it to be in sequence. They just happened to ask questions, because the questions was to help him get some rest. That's what the purpose of the question. The question is like, okay, we're going to ask questions so you can stop and breathe, regroup, regather, concentrate. I cannot go to the bathroom right now. You know, whatever you need to do to get your mental self together. But the questions were also targeted to the point. And each senator, each Democrat senator showed up for the moment. They were with him throughout the night. They got there in the daytime. They took time. They had a schedule to make sure that they were there for him, to support him. Again, the importance of community and teamwork.
Yeah.
We cannot do anything by ourselves on planet. Need each other. He could not have accomplished that yesterday without his team that groomed him, helped him, put the speeches together, put the binders together, all the work that went into it. It was just an amazing demonstration of a party working together to achieve. And it achieved, if it didn't achieve anything else but the coverage. Because again, as the AP never stopped broadcasting. I was on AP all day, Associated Press. And as the day went on and as the momentum got closer to the 24-hour mark, you could see it started to pick up in all the people that were watching all over the country. Then next thing you know, you had ABC News popping in. Then they had their footage. Everybody started having their footage. So that last hour, people were like all over the country looking whether they wanted to look at it or not. People were in the diners, if they didn't have Fox on, were looking at it. And maybe Fox had to cut it on.
They had a little piece of it on, from what I understand, but they did a piss poor job as usual. I mean, we don't expect anything less or more of them.
Yeah.
You know, well, what is he doing? I mean, what is he doing for? No one's really watching and paying attention. People, go sit your asses down.
Let's see what the folks are saying, though. Here we go. I just wanted to make that point. Hannah says, good morning, good morning, good morning. Oh, Elise says hello. She says, good morning. She said, also, I'm watching this on the train. She's with us, but she's on the train. She's coming to New York. So she and I are going to hang out. We're hanging out tomorrow. Right, Elise? We're hanging out tomorrow. Juniors, anyone? Good morning. Again, I've seen some good morning. Anthony Rowland's in the building, so good morning. Let's see how I make sure I get all the questions. Anthony says, yes, it was a marathon. Hey, Brian Young is in the building. What's going on, Brian?
What's
Mr.
up,
Brian
Brian?
Young is in the building. We miss you, sir. Charlene's in the building. She says, very inspiring. Elise says, it was amazing to watch. Hannah says, and we're going to talk about this after this, Susan Crawford won the Wisconsin Supreme Court seat last night as well. Musk could
major
not
loss.
defeat her with money. Yes, right. We
Yep.
won. We won. And then Shirley again says, teamwork makes the dream work. And Brian says, speech is action. Cory showed us. Okay, let's go back to Cory as he does his amazing, he shares this amazing thought. Listen up.
Of New Jersey, the new record holder for the Senate's longest ever speech. Senator, how are you?
I'm definitely hurting a little bit, but I'm feeling strong in spirit and grateful to so many people who allowed me to tell their stories on the Senate floor and who were there for me, from the parliamentary staff to my colleagues. It was a long 25 hours, but I'm feeling a lot of gratitude.
Staying up 25 hours for any reason is a trying thing physically. What was different about the experience of it than what you anticipated? I mean, you stood by your fellow Senator Chris Murphy 9 years ago when he did 15 hours. He described that today as a solidarity or a sympathy filibuster, and that you stood with him during that time. So you've experienced some of the pain of this before, but A, you're 9 years older than you were then, and B, this was a lot longer. How was it different, and how much were you prepared for?
I was grateful to Chris. He and I talked about it before, and I at the end tonight, I said, our balance sheet's not equal. I now owe you 10 more hours. I stood with him, and I really wanted to see if I could stand for as long as he and I were going to go. And he was successful that day in getting concessions from Mitch McConnell to have votes on the Senate floor around gun safety. Unfortunately, even common sense gun safety then failed. But for me, it was an experience that stuck in my mind. I could do 15 hours without going to the bathroom, even though my legs really hurt over those 15 hours. Both of us talked about how our feet hurt. And so when my team and I decided to do this, we just said, let's take some risks. Let's go out there and see how long we can last. And to be candid, Strom Thurmond's record always kind of just really irked me. That he would be the longest speech, that the longest speech on our great Senate floor was someone who was trying to stop people like me from being in the Senate. So to surpass that was something I didn't know if we could do, but it was something that was really, as we got closer, became more and more important to me.
You used that phrase, take risks. You said repeatedly over the course of this filibuster, this speech, that you're motivated to do this by your constituents essentially challenging you to come up with something, to do something more than you thought you comfortably could do. Can you tell us a little bit about the decision-making process that you went through about deciding to do this? Obviously, you kind of kept it under wraps. You prepared with your staff, but nobody publicly knew you were going to do this until you started it.
No, I do really credit constituents who are impatient, who are demanding, who are scared, who are angry, and very understandably taking that anger out on Democrats who have to take some responsibility for being where we are in American history right now. And so the more I thought about it with my team, especially after the decisions we made revolving around the continuing resolution, I've been working so hard with my colleagues trying to get them to engage in social media, put more of their heart and spirit out there. They're doing an amazing job. They've almost quadrupled their numbers of engagement online. I've got colleagues opening up TikTok accounts, but I suddenly realized that I've just got to do something myself. I've got to, try to prove worthy for my constituents that I'm willing to step out and step up in some way, and hopefully be able to share their stories that were so hurtful, and to read from my staff, people rendering their most personal stories about their fears or what's happening to their families. And so my staff and I said, let's try to bring those voices to the Senate floor. Let's see how long you can last. They're demanding something different. This will certainly be different. And I think that a lot of that energy from the folks that I've been seeing in Jersey and across this country really helped carry me through.
I don't know if you are conscious of how much this caught the attention and caught the imagination of the American people. I know that you're not using electronic devices on the Senate floor. You're not watching your TikTok numbers and your YouTube numbers and the C-SPAN contemporaneous viewing numbers while you're there, because you can't be. But every time that I checked any form of media by which you could be live monitored, there were no less than tens of thousands of people watching in the same place that I was in that moment. What you've done with everything else that's going on with this administration and the horrific cuts of 10,000 people fired today from the nation's health agencies and all these other things. This is the biggest story in the country right now. You have captured people's attention for 25 hours. And I'm wondering, for people who were moved by what you did, either among your Senate colleagues or just people who watched you from home, what do you hope they might do differently if they're moved by you and they feel the same sort of spirit that caused you to do what you did?
Well, I hope that we're all served to be ignition points for each other. My constituents, the letters, the calls, the demands were definitely an ignition point for me, but we've got to continue to ignite this movement. The only thing that stopped Donald Trump from tearing away the Affordable Care Act was the engagement of tens of thousands of Americans who didn't think they would become little lobbyists or activists or come down to the Capitol or protest in their communities. Rachel, you and I have known each other a long time, and I've been listening to your show more regularly. I'm so grateful that you're doing this first 100 days. And I love how you start every show by showing what other Americans are doing. They're not waiting for us in Congress to lead. They've decided to take matters into their own hands and do something different. Those people were demanding to me to catch up, to try to do like they're doing. This is really about folks leading from their hearts and deciding, I'm not going to just let business as usual go on in my life. And so I'm hoping that this is one part of a larger effort that tries to stop them from doing what they're about to do later this week or next week. I have not, I've sort of stepped out, checked out for this 24 hours, but they're going to try to push through a bill that's going to gut $880 billion from Medicaid. They're going to try to put forward to a bill that's going to give tax cuts to the wealthiest in our country, disproportionately trillions of dollars, and all that. And they're going to still blow one of the biggest single president deficits into our national economy, into our national debt. It's outrageous. And we have got to try to stop them in the same way that the people of this country were able to get good conscious Republicans, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, John McCain, to change their votes and stop him from doing it. Well, we need to move 3 members in the House, I think, and 4 members in the Senate, and all of us have to be a part of that. We can't sit back and do nothing.
Wow.
I'm listening to you and I hear you, but I'm also outside my body a little bit, marveling at your cogency right now. I know that, I don't know if you know that you are still making sense, but you're still making sense and your sentences are still properly structured, and it's starting to feel like a superhuman thing. I'm mindful of how much of your additional energy I'm taking right now. Am I right that you wear one of those rings that monitors your vitals?
I do. My staff was telling me we had to look at what it says. So I opened it up, and it gave me nothing on a sleep score because my heart rate was pretty damn high after about 4 or 5 hours, a little bit high. That's concerning. So there are definitely some physical things. I'm feeling it now, and it's the first time I ever did an interview with you where I got to sit down, and there's a man here I've known for years, and he's just, I almost kissed him when he gave me this seat to sit down. So I'm grateful.
Well, Senator, as I said, what you have done has captured the nation's attention, and I think captured the moral imagination of this nation in a way that you were really demanding with what you did. And so I don't know what the outcome's going to be. You never know what the outcome's going to be of these things. I do know that if you don't do it, nothing's going to happen. Exactly. And so I wish you rest, and I think you should get checked out by a doctor, and I think you should hydrate, and I hope you get people to leave you alone for the next few hours.
Thank you so much, my friend.
I thought I was so glad that Rachel got that interview, because she like he said, I look at her every day, and every day she spends the first 15, 20 minutes of her show showing the people that are mobilizing around the country
Yeah.
And it does give you a glimmer of hope that even though democracy seems so defeated at this moment, that there could be hope, but the hope can only come through the American people.
Yeah.
May I? Thank you. So I want to look at this from a media perspective and a social media perspective as well. The last time this happened with the chief racist Strom Thurmond, there was no rapid media to be able to document what was going on. So, none of us were around, but, there was no media in a sense that we could rapidly get access to hear this. So now the fact that, oh,
Sorry, that might be me. You might be hearing a train.
I was like, wait,
I'm muting myself now.
I'm like,
that was Chris and his railroad.
okay, I'm like,
Is there a
have they
tornado?
built a railroad closer to me now? What is it? So there, when we look at what happened, I actually looked at 4 media outlets, quote unquote media outlets. I did not look at any quote traditional media. I looked at YouTube. I looked at his channel and watched the Associated Press. I looked at Instagram, at his Instagram, and then I looked at TikTok. And consistently, and so between those, there were about 500,000 watching between just those 4. I didn't even look at anything else. So that just tells you, just those 4, and 2 of them were per his own accounts.
Yes.
That just tells you the level of reach something like this has, and how these types of movements are even more pertinent and more effective now that we can see it, because I think this is really going to have the effect, whether intended or unintended, to get people to mobilize. That's one thing. Number 2, we're still resting. Black people are still resting. However, in our rest, we're still doing things. There are still people like him that are on the front lines. And I think people have a misunderstanding of what protest looks like. It's not always being out in the streets and making noise, whether it's good noise or bad noise. It's not always that. It's the economic stuff we've been doing with Target and Walmart. It's him standing for 24 hours. It's creators getting on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram, making videos to bring attention to all of this. So we're resting, but we're resting the way we want to rest, and we're still working at the same time. So I wanted to bring that up.
Can I add something?
Yes.
Can I add the physical component? Because I've never done 25 hours, but I do recall my first time sitting, or I should say standing, in Times Square. And you have to get there early. So I understand the idea of you don't put anything in your body, and it is a mind game. And the body starts like doing all the things that muscles want to do, and it hurts. So the fact that he was able to do this for 25 hours, I think I did like 15, which is a lot. And I did 15 in a small cramped space, right? So we're not moving in Times Square like you were in like sardines. So lucky for him to move around. But it is mental. So me just watching him do that part, like that's some real work. Like that's dedication, like mad dedication. But it also goes back to your point, or what you mentioned, Ron, with the glimmer of hope. Hope is not a plan.
Yeah.
Right? It's not a plan, right? Like it's just like you have to say to yourself, if I'm going to do this, what do we need to do to be prepared for X, Y, and Z? And his team clearly got together and planned something. My last point, I'm going to add on to Dr. Tachi when we talk about like, what are we doing to show up? I'm clear. Joy is resistance. People want to see Black people specifically in the streets, hooting and hollering, doing whatever. Not happening, Captain. I don't care what you do. You can take all the things down. You can roll back segregation, this and that. Bruh, 1, we're in different times. But 2, just walking in your joy is resistance. That's another way to do it. So like I said, I'm be out here line dancing, Saturday, that's
Popping
where
the
we're going
fan.
to be. There are other things we can do, but I mean, like really, like truly. This is how I am showing resistance every single day, showing up in joy.
The other thing I want to point out some comments that Jazzy made. One of the things that's really important and is so evident is the preparedness of this. This is not a spontaneous thing that they did. This was well planned and executed. And you can plan to a certain degree, but the outcome really depends on the person you put out there, and he was that person, and he met the moment. I mean, no one can ever say or take away what he has done. People will go back and study this. And what I loved is his team put out a video when he was in his 13th hour of how they prepared for this to let people know that this wasn't something that was random. This was planned. And you have to plan. You have to plan. And then also, I think what was so effective is he could have been like, all right, I'm tired. I have proven, I have nothing else to prove. He did interviews. Rachel was his first, but he did multiple interviews after that before he decided to take his rest. Let me tell you, I hope he is home sleeping right now and he gets to sleep for the next couple of days. He owes no one anything. When he's rested and ready to come back, people will be ready to stand behind him and support him in any way that he needs us to support him.
Yeah, he's right now. This morning, one of the headlines says Cory Booker is our hero, and because so many young men and women are looking at this guy and saying, "Wait a minute, if he can do it, maybe I can do it." Somewhere in this country, there are other people that are saying, I think I can do something. It's like Brian just said, if he can do 24 hours standing on his feet, I can do something. What are we doing? And I know what it is to be, I remember one time I used to work for Foot Locker back in the day, and we were moving a store. And when I realized how probably illegal this probably was back then, literally, we did not sleep for 24 hours. We were moving a store. We were literally working for 24 hours. And I remember my brain it felt so detached from my body because of the mental challenge of trying to stay awake, stay processing, doing things. But when I got home, I felt like a piece of my brain was not with me. It is not an easy, and that's not holding in one place. That was like moving around, moving boxes, doing this, doing that. And also, we did get a bathroom breaks and stuff like that. I can't imagine because he wasn't allowed to leave the Senate floor. So he had to stay in that spot for 25 hours, and not only that, and 4 minutes, and speak and speak and speak and speak. Gwendolyn, you had something to say?
Well, it's so timely. I love Miss Elise because I was going to actually say what she has in her comment. So Isla and I, no, not that comment.
No, I'm just going through. I'll get to.
Oh, okay, my bad. I thought you were going to bring it up.
Which one do you have?
But whatever. What do I know? I'm not the producer. But no. So Isla and I were discussing that. A lot of us who tend to live in areas where it is really Republican, we feel sometimes that our voice is not heard. But she said, people call. And she's in Colorado. He said, if there's one thing that people who vote on the other side do, they are going to call their representatives. We have to get into the habit of doing stuff. So when Brian was mentioning that, hey, if this guy can do this, what are we all doing? Everybody has to decide what it is that they're going to do. However they want to do it. It could be sharing information. It could be volunteering. It could be making the phone calls, whatever it is. But if you want something bad enough, it has never escaped me that people show up for what they really want. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They can get in line. I hate to say it. They can get in line for the PS4s, the 5s, the shoes, and everything else, the tickets to the concert. If you want it bad enough, you're gonna have to show up.
This is true.
May I also?
Yes, you are. Yes, you may.
Thank you. So, thank you. You've yielded the floor to me. So, listen, I'm going to be using Robert's Rules of Order all bloody day. Okay, I move anyway. So the Miss Elise is saying that he also did he did multiple interviews with social media influencers, etc. Now, if we look at the other side and how they did really well, besides having a contingency of complete idiots on their side, they also made use of channels that complete idiots like the Joe Rogan podcast, all of these hatred-filled things that they
Yes.
tend to grasp onto, those hatred-filled media. What if we did the same thing with the media on the side of right? So
Yes.
again, we have to lean in to the independent, because that's what they did. Like these wretched podcast bros, that's exactly what they did. So we have
Wretched.
to do, they are wretched, okay? That's exactly what we need to do. We need to lean into independent media, because let's be clear, every media outlet has a slant, or dare I say an agenda for what they want to do. And let's be clear also, there is only a certain amount of stories, having been in newsrooms and things before. Everything that happens in a day is not reported. There's no way we could know everything that is reported. They sit at a morning and afternoon meeting and make the decisions as to what they are going to put on air, or what they're going to put in the newspaper. And what gets put in the newspaper, for your information, is after the ads are placed. So what we see is what's called the news hole. They place the ads first, and then they put all the information around it. So that shows you that media is run by advertising. But the point is that we need to lean into these independent media, because we don't know that the mainstream or legacy media has time, space, or care to give us the voice. So we need to do that same thing and continue to lean into, and be careful of who we lean into, because not everybody who is an influencer is a good reporter, right? But I think we need to go that route as well.
Yes, I agree. We're going to read through some of these, and because there was definitely lots of chiming in. And here we go. Let's start with Brian. Brian says, if Brother Cory can stand for 25 hours speaking truth to power, what are we all doing? Elise says, good morning, Brian. That's a great question. Jelly says, we have to give a lot of credit to his team. The binders of receipts, the letters, all of it. Jazzy says, yes, it was orchestrated beautifully. And Elise says, good morning, Jazzy. His staff did a great job with the information he shared, says Elise. Jazzy says, I also have to say, I respect the fact that he did these interviews after the fact, because I would have told everyone to kick rocks and went to sleep. Jazzy also says, this is why I say preparedness is better than just throwing things together. They planned. That's a big reason it succeeded. Lee says he's exactly right. People are going to have to show up in whatever way they can or are willing to do. Elise also says he was well prepared for this moment. He started fasting on Friday. Wow. Jazzy says, yep, he did. And going through to the ingredients. And then Bryson says the MAGA folks are really upset and mad, and Elon Musk are really upset.
Look it over.
He says the Black DMV community is having a 92% cookout on Saturday at Butler Farms in Maryland on April the 5th. Even that joy there. Jazzy, yes, don't be confused. Resting does not mean no work. Janet says CB, along with being a Rhodes Scholar, he was and is a major athlete. That's right, he used to play football. And Anthony Rowland says, gee, I did it in San Francisco. It's definitely a mind game. Elise also says, yes, we did multiple interviews with everyone, including the social media influencers. Janet says, Booker is not only a scholar, but he was and is an athlete. Elise says people need to make their question representatives miserable by calling them every day. And we got the good mornings. And then Anthony says yearly inventory at Foot Locker was like that too. Yep, that's what I was working. Foot Locker, we had to stay up 24 hours. That's got to be illegal. Elise says I stayed up baking for 72 hours straight once. I passed out after it was over. Yeah, 72 hours. I can't even imagine that one. Jazzy says, I have always said, we the people have the power. I am a believer of that too. We just have to understand it. And let's see here. That woman. Okay, we'll go past that one. Robert's rules. Haha. Okay, and Elise says, I started calling Republicans living in D.C. As you know, we have taxation without representation.
Mhm.
And then the last, Elise says, the Midas Touch has been doing a great job. Yes, Midas
They
Touch
have.
has been excellent. If you are not following the Midas Touch on their Substack and also YouTube and also their Instagram, you are missing out on lots of good truth. Research.
And then also, they are the number one as far as viewership. They've surpassed Fox on YouTube, and Fox is pissed because of that.
Yes, they've been ahead of Fox now for 3 weeks.
Yeah,
for 3 weeks. So there you have it. Okay, the other thing that we want is and we'll get off that on this note. One is, unfortunately, well, there's a good and bad to it. The Republicans did win the Florida races. However, the margin was
very small.
closer.
Less than half.
Yeah, less than half of what it was when Trump was running in those districts. So that means people are moving towards or moving away from MAGA, and that's an indication to that. And but I always still, in my brain, I keep saying, how is it possible that Republicans keep voting against their needs?
Because it hasn't hit those people voting yet. Once it hits them, because it's happening, then they will turn on them.
Unbelievable.
You know, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, because you're in Florida. Go ahead.
Yeah, unfortunately. So what those districts that were voting are not us. That wasn't South Florida. That's more so north and western Florida. But yeah, panhandle, so north and west. So that's not us. And really, their political values and values otherwise, that's the deep South. That's just basically East Alabama and South Georgia. So that they vote the same way. Wait, South Florida is a little bit different. So it's a little bluer than North Florida is. But now what the hell was my original point? See, Florida messed me up.
Where you were going to speak about how it is that people who are Republicans still vote against.
Thank you. Yes. I got all mad about Florida, and then so yeah, thank you. So this is the thing. Their hatred of others is greater than their hatred of him. Right? So they may dislike him, but they hate the other more. Or people that they see as the other, who don't deserve to be here, who don't deserve to have a piece of whatever, who they feel they work to support. Lies. But that's what that is. And so we can see this evidenced by the fact that many public universities at one point in this country used to be free and very, very low cost. But the impetus to start to charge was to keep certain people out. Now, who do we think those certain people are? Right? So wherever you can put up a barrier, you do it. So, but now this hurts them too, right?
Yes.
Now your behind has to pay as well. But I would rather pay and go bankrupt than to see you get a piece of anything. That's the thought process behind this.
Yep.
But again, it's racism, man. Whoever came up with it, that's some good old brainwashing. I never seen anything in history that brainwashing goes so deep. The
It's
brainwashing,
a it's a cult.
the
Racism
hatred.
falls in I think, the same category as cults. You're fed certain things to believe certain things, and no matter how sensible, you think you are, you fall into that category, and you do those things. I mean, it's not something you're born with; it's something you're taught and you learn.
Yes.
Yeah.
That learned behavior is ridiculous. But anyway, Wisconsin does win. Crawford, Judge Crawford does win the Wisconsin. And I do believe, I forgot the number, I think it was 200. Was it 200 million?
No, 26 million.
26
Either
million?
26 or 28 million. There was two different
26
numbers out
million.
there. Yeah,
$26
that's how much he
million
dumped.
that Musk put into that race.
One person.
The most expensive seat, judgeship, or you want to call it the Supreme Court justice seat in American history. And
Now, here's the
again, the
thing.
hatred. Go ahead, buddy.
So here's a key fact. Now, even though Elon Musk put in 26 or 28 million, the Democrats actually raised more money than the Republicans did. That was something I learned last night. So, but it's the simple fact that here is one man who is not from this country coming in and dictating and buying votes. And the fact that he had a whole thing on stage where he was giving out these quote unquote random $1 million checks, which we find out after the fact that it wasn't random. These people were selected to get these checks.
We knew.
And on top of it, who knows if he's actually going to give them the money? That's a big paper check.
This is lies on top of lies on top of lies. I mean, and if you trust them, I have a Brooklyn Bridge to sell you. Chief.
Yes.
If you trust that.
Don't trust
fit your back pocket.
Musk.
Exactly.
And but I'm so glad that, because if the Republicans would have won, they would have redistrict back to and gerrymandered those districts, so that way Democrats could not win in the future. And like they've done in many places around the country. And so it was a good move.
Go ahead, Chris.
No, I think Jazzy said it perfectly. Let's point out that she won by a huge margin. That is that's a big deal, because of the fact that he went in there, spent all this money. He went to the state. Trump did a remote video call-in. They spent all this money, and then they still lost. So that clearly shows where the country is leading. So, come midterms next year, I think there's going to be a devastating loss for these Republicans. And let me just say this. All these Republicans that have voted with him all need to lose their jobs.
They all need to see, yes.
Not even a blue wave. I want to see a tsunami. I want to see where there's just like speckles and speckles of red, if even any at all. We need to have a legislative branch that is completely dominant of blue. Anything he puts forth, you kill it. You kill it.
Yeah, and we need to have where the both chambers of Congress have more than 60% Democrats, because then you can really make changes. You can impeach him. You can do whatever you need to do to get this train back on the track.
And they have to be willing to do those types of things, because in the past, what happens is we're too busy trying to play nice, and too busy trying to placate and reach across the aisle. Reach across the aisle and see if you come back with a hand. That's what the overwhelming thought process should be. It doesn't mean don't work with people, but how many times do they have to show you that they're not willing to work with you, and they're not trying? They're not willing to try. So guess what? You stop trying. And I think they always bank on, I'm not even just talking about Democrats, but people on the side of right, they always bank on them doing the right thing, because they know they're going to do the wrong thing, but that's okay, because they're always going to do the right thing. It's the same thing with the concept of forgiveness. Whenever there's something for racist that happens, well, they know they're always going to get forgiven. So there's no impetus to change. When you show them, not only do I not forgive you, but I want you to suffer to the fullest extent of the law, then there starts to be let me readjust myself, or
Yes.
let me at least attempt to look like I'm readjusting myself. But there's no need to change if there's no reward in it for you. And we give them reward every time. I forgive you. Okay, let's reach across the aisle. Stop doing that.
Exactly, because these people we've seen it. We now, all of us as common folks that that follow politics, follow what's going on in the world, we have already known it since Obama. These folks do not want to work with you. They are not going to work with you. Stop thinking you are in the old Senate. Stop thinking you're in the old House. Those people don't exist any longer. They're no longer in Congress. They're dead, or they retired because they couldn't take it anymore, because there is no cooperation and no one's working with you. You need to have your agenda straight. Let's put your plans together and go out and stop trying to win Republicans. These people, because they're not even Republicans any longer. The Republicans, the good Republicans, are no longer in the GOP. And I get so upset when they keep saying the Republicans. The Republicans are no longer in this game. Most Republicans are strategizing with the Democrats to try to create stability and to get out of this mess. That's what's happening. The Republicans, these are not Republicans. These are MAGA fools. These are cult members. These are people that are in positions that do it for a career, and they don't know what to do after it. So they're fearful, like the Lindsey Graham. You think about what will Lindsey Graham do after being in the Senate?
Who cares?
Nothing.
Like that part.
He can do whatever the hell he likes.
But these people are fighting because they have nothing after this. That's why they are sold out to Trump. They're sold out because they have nothing. Their wealth, all of the lobbyists that pay them money under the table, around the table, all over the place. They get money from here, money from there. They are sold out.
Ron,
they don't want
doesn't that
poverty.
Speak to their ineptness?
Yes.
That you have nothing. If you have nothing else after this because you are so inept and you only got there because of lobbyists, etc., that's a you problem.
Yes.
Be excellent. It's the point that you're mediocre has nothing to do with us. Be excellent. And that's what makes them annoyed, and that's what makes them lash out at the other, because we have had to be so excellent to have a chance to have 1/10 of a shot. We've had to be overly excellent. So now you're mad because you created excellence, or you forced us to be excellent, because now it calls out your mediocrity. So that's their problem. You go and be excellent. Take some classes at community college, take an online class in AI. I don't give a damn what you do, but go be excellent and leave the rest of us alone.
There you go. And on that note, tomorrow is our Thursday, Trend Watch Thursday. So we'll continue the conversation tomorrow, because that's what we do on Trend Watch Thursday. We talk the politics. We talk what's going on in the world at the moment. And I'm so glad for this wonderful panel and friends, because this is all about conversation.
Yeah.
Look at Gwendolyn's face. I always watch Gwendolyn's face to these conversations.
Me too.
She's like my barometer. She's like, okay,
It's
he's
the
over there.
skill.
Oh, he's gone. He's moved there. Oh, okay, he's going off the scales. He's moving over there. Just look at Gwendolyn's face, y'all.
It's a skill.
So, guys, thank you so much. We're gonna let these folks get home. Let these folks get to work and do what they need to do. This was great conversation. I am so much happier today. Like I said, I am so glad that there are people out there that are fighting for our democracy. But I love what Gwendolyn says. We are fighting to keep our joy, and we're going to have our joy. We're going to live in our joy. We're going to live in our joy, and that's the best place to serve, is in our joy. And so I love it. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Also, wait, I'm getting out of here. I forgot to do this. I gotta make sure I do this every time. Again, make sure if you are, make sure to go to the website, my website, to join my email list to make sure that way you can stay connected on email. Also, if you're looking for an event photographer, I am there available as an event photographer. Also, this is April. We are having this is our campaign for our Patreon community. So if you want to support this community and get something while doing so, join our Patreon community. And our Patreon community is on patreon.com. And you just go to Ron Lewis Photos for Patreon, and you can support what we do here because it does take money to do what we do here. And also, I want one of our Patreon members who contributes a lot to what we do here, Rolling Clouds. I just wanted to give them a shout out as well, as their brand is coming into play. Okay, I think I got it all, and then I'm going to start. Also, tomorrow we'll have some other stuff that we're going to put on here. That's going to be good. I think we got it all. Anything else I need to say? No, that's it. Okay. Goodbye, guys. Thank you so much. Elise, call me when you get to Brooklyn. Call me when you get to Brooklyn. Love you all. Bye.
Bye.
Hello, and thank you for joining us today. Make sure you hit the like, the subscribe, and leave a comment on this video. I would love to hear from you. Thank you again. Until I see you next time.